Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Thank you, John. Let me ask you. And John, I'm going to ask you as well. Are you getting not only frustrated but somewhat disheartened by events of the day, nationally, internationally, here in Ottawa? Are you getting frustrated, angry, or are you getting disheartened, or any of the above?
I would say all of the above. Personally, I find it all exhausting. We're angry. You did the show on us dropping from 5th to 15th in the happiness question from United Nations. We're angry, and it all melds together in one big heaping pile of stink.
It just seems that we cannot, aside from Ukraine's Zelensky, we just cannot seem to find a strong leader, someone with courage, someone that will make decisions based on common sense and what's good for the common folk rather than ideology. We just cannot seem to find a Churchill or a Gorbachev.
Agreed.
I don't know. Very often, major events, catastrophic events, strong people will emerge from that. We've seen this several times, including Jack Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Gorbachev, freed billions of people from the yoke of communism. Churchill saved the world from God knows what. Margaret Thatcher saved Britain from God knows what. These people sprang from crises. But we've got crises all over the world today, and nobody other than Zelensky. You've got to hand it to this guy in this little nation of Ukraine. He's got courage, he's got guts, he's got some charisma, and he's doing what he can, fighting for his constituents, for his people. But aside from that, good God. Let's just go through, and time again, it's ideology trumping common sense, decency, and courage. Ideology. Let me just give you a few examples, and I'm sure some of you listeners will come up with ideas of your own. Green energy ideology persuaded most of Europe and the UK that wind and solar would supplant fossil fuels and nuclear. The result? Well, we're pumping billions of dollars into Russia because we've got to buy their oil and gas, and the billions of dollars we pump into Russia helps them to pay for the bullets and the bombs that are turning Ukraine into dust. Tragic. Ideology. Pure ideology. Germany even shuttered nuclear plants. It just goes on. Today, look, Joe Biden scrapped the Keystone pipeline. Would have been available to pump millions of Canadian oil into his refineries. Ideology over common sense. That's all it was. Ideology. The environmentalists said, we don't want the pipeline. Today, that same God blessed Joe Biden is pleading with Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela for oil and gas. Here in Canada, we scrapped both pipelines and liquid natural gas plants, so today we can't supply our own country, let alone help Europe. Ideology gone berserk. Here in Ontario, we drove billions of dollars of investment out of the province, shut down more than 100,000 manufacturing jobs, while creating the highest electrical rates in North America, aside from California. We pour out billions for wind and solar, but we can't afford to give our seniors in long-term care more than one shower a week, if they're lucky. It's madness. But here in Ottawa, now this is just a small example, but it is so freaking typical that I cannot avoid talking about it. This is the good old little city of Ottawa and its infinite wisdom. We've got soaring tax rates here, charges for everything going up, going up, going up in Ottawa and elsewhere. Skyrocketing cost of living. Carbon tax is going to be tacked on again in what, 8 days? An army of potholes breaking out everywhere in our fair city. A multi-billion-dollar light rail system that breaks down what? Every other day, just about. And we're going to spend, listen to this, in the midst of all of this, in their infinite wisdom, our city councilors got their heads together and they went into the round table discussions and debated and they philosophized and all. And what they have come up with is this ideology. They are going to scrap all of the gas-fired lawnmowers used by the city in favor of battery-operated jobbies. This apparently is going to cost us, well, they're talking about $350,000. Baloney, we know it's going to be far more than that. So what they're going to do is scrap all of these perfectly operational, perfectly working gas-fired lawnmowers, the ones that cut the curbs and so forth. They're going to replace them all with batteries. I mean, like, what's the common sense in that? You're telling me, Mr. Mayor, city councilors, that we don't have a better way to spend $500,000? For example, how the hell is this going to help the planet? Okay, how is converting our lawnmowers from gas to battery going to help the planet? To begin with, we're talking. God knows how much energy is required to make all of those batteries. That creates quite a problem too. A lot of energy's got to be used to create those batteries. And then, of course, we got the problem, what the hell do we do with the batteries after they've run out? That's just one of it. But let's just examine here, okay? Public transit in all of Canada, that's all of the trains and public buses and light rail and all the rest of it, okay? All account for about 2% of all the CO2 emissions in Canada. That's right. Every city, every town, every village, the public transit, about 2%. But Canada is responsible for only about 1.6% of the world's emissions. So if we converted all of our buses and all of our trains and all of our taxis and everything right across the land, every single one, would cost us billions. But what would it do? Well, it would reduce global emissions by 2% of 1.6%. You do the math because I can't do it. In other words, if I can use the vernacular, sweet bugger all. $500,000 poured out. It's virtue signaling. They got nothing better to do at city council. I mean, why don't you, if you really want to throw $350,000 around, fix the freaking potholes. Supply enough money so that our senior citizens can get a shower more than once a week. And don't tell me, oh, that's my responsibility. Oh, really? It's unbelievable. This is what passes for commons. This is what they're doing. And on grand scales and tiny little scales like this, it's the same thinking. Ideology trumping common sense. I mean, what possible benefit to the planet is converted? And now, okay, so if we converted all public transit into electric, first of all, there's all sorts of energy required to produce the electricity. Where are we going to get that from? Not from, but anyhow. But supposing that we were able to get rid of, so 2%, so we're talking all the buses, trains, etc., gone. So that would get rid of 2% of Canada's, but we only produce 1.6%. So we're looking at 2.2% of 1.6%. But then let's get down to Ottawa. I mean, we're going to spend, I don't know how many hundreds of millions, maybe $1 billion to convert our diesel-powered buses into electric. Once again, we have no idea what sort of energy is required to produce all of these batteries. It's virtue signaling. It's ideology. It's got nothing to do with helping the planet because it can't. But we're going to have in Ottawa battery powered lawnmowers. Ay, 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 ay,
Can I
ay,
ask again how much money you said we are going to spend on electric lawnmowers, Lowell?
ay. Well, the city says it'll cost us about 350,000, which means I give it at least $500,000. I mean, everything the city says I mean, look, how much was light rail supposed to cost
Oh,
us? How many times has that cost been bumped up now?
all right. Listen,
Oh,
I've been sitting on a bit of a bombshell, and it's time for me to let this go.
fire, fire, fire.
The city of Ottawa is a city of 1 million people.
Yes.
Geographically, the city of Ottawa is larger than the city of Toronto. Geographically, the city of Ottawa is larger than the city of Montreal.
Right.
On the average Monday or Tuesday night, in this nation's capital of ours, how many police officers do you think are working the streets, Lowell?
I have no idea.
I can tell you exactly, and I will create. I will come up with the paperwork to back up what I'm about to say. How many police officers do you think are working the streets on a Monday or Tuesday night in a city of 1 million people?
No idea.
Craig just nailed it. 12. The
12.
number I have is 14.
That's all for the entire city?
Never mind spending money on electric mowers. 14 police officers are patrolling the streets of Ottawa on a Monday or a Tuesday.
But there would be more police officers available in the various stations, would there not?
No, sir.
That's all.
14.
Well, just
And I will provide you with the paperwork to back up my assertion.
I believe you. I believe you.
That's from inside City Hall.
And I would think that the bulk of them that are in a relatively confined area, probably the market. That's probably where about half of them are patrolling at any given time.
If you've got a crisis in Canada, you're telling me we're going to get officers from Navan out to Canada? That's a 40-minute drive. It's insane.
Don't get mugged, folks.
I was sitting with a friend of mine who is a police officer and someone who I know who is well connected, and they told me this.
Well, nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, and I've said this repeatedly, and that is that we've put all of our eggs into the green energy basket. This is where the money is going. This is where the emphasis is. This is where, I'm going to tell you, there are far more debates at City Hall on how to cut down emissions than there are to how to cut down crime. I mean, I think you'll find that accurate. But it's not. Talking about ideology, John. Thanks for that information. I'm going to follow that up. There is our prime minister for the next 3 years, off to Belgium to tell the world how concerned we are about Ukraine, how we stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Ukraine. Well, the people that are going to be left. Virtue signaling at its finest. Because all the while, our prime minister for the next 3 years knows damn well that there's sweet nothing we can do. Our our military bread basket is pretty well empty. We have pretty well emptied all the surplus stuff we've got, apparently. So we have nothing more. So, and say, well, we need more sanctions. Yeah, the sanctions are really working well because, and I keep saying this, and once again, the media seems to be ignoring it. Well, we impose these sanctions, which I don't know, seem to be attacking the ruble. But the fact of the matter is, as the price of gas and oil continues to climb, it just pumps more billions into Russia, all because of ideology. So while there is Trudeau, I mean, these are pure photo ops. Trudeau, our prime minister for the next 3 years, whether we like it or not, virtue signaling, we stand shoulder to shoulder. Bullshit. How? What are we doing? We won't even, do you realize we're almost a month now into this and we have not as yet allowed one single refugee into this country? 3 weeks ago, we were told that we would have refugees here in 2 weeks. They're still planning. Meantime, Poland has accepted almost 2 million of them, over 3 million in European nations alone. And we have, I once again have to qualify, there are 2 children with cancer who came to the Toronto Sick Children's Hospital, not arranged by the government, but by the Sick Children's Hospital itself. So this is how we're helping Ukraine. Oh, my goodness. So, I mean, I suppose Trudeau could offer them what? Electric lawnmowers? How about a good solid hug? I mean, it's disgraceful. Disgraceful. We can't punish Putin in any meaningful way because, well, we need his gas and oil. You know what, John? It's enough to make you cry. But don't worry. We got Trudeau and his lovely mate, Jagmeet, for 3 years running the country. Nothing to fear, folk. Nothing to fear here. No. I mean, we don't need oil or gas anyway. They're going to pretty well do everything they can to scrap oil and gas industry. We don't need the jobs. We don't need oil or gas. We can get it from Saudi Arabia. Heck, in a couple of years' time, we'll probably be able to get it back from Russia again. Why not? My goodness. Problem solved, folks. I don't know. Well, as I say, you hate to give up. I don't give up. I still have great confidence in the people of this country. They're decent, hardworking people. But somehow or other, this guy Trudeau, he's somehow been able to pull the wool over so many eyes. With all of the things that are happening here, even with yesterday, this weasel. I love the front page of the Sun today. What did they call it? The axle of weasels.
Wasn't that savage?
This is written by Warren Kinsella, who's a liberal. So I'm watching the CBC. I like to torture myself, so I watch CBC once in a while. It's quite beautiful, and they're interviewing people in Toronto, and they're people. What do you think of? Oh, this is great. I'm a liberal, says this guy. I'm a liberal. Now they'll be able to do whatever they want. They won't have to listen to these conservatives, trying to slow them down. It just goes on and on. I haven't given up hope. There's always you, John.
Thank God for that, I guess, eh? I'm not alone. I got Terry on the phone at 613-413-2217. Are you ready for a call?
I am ready for a call.
Terry, go ahead. You're on with Lowell Green.
Hey, Lowell. How are you? Terry
Go ahead,
here.
sir. Right to the topic. Yep.
My friends call me Tech Head Terry. You having some technical issues with you got some lag going on the stream. I was just wondering if you could use some technical support, some help on figuring out your latency issues and stuff. I know you're an older gentleman.
So. Have you got any comments on our topic, Terry, or you're just trying to straighten us out here?
Well, I'm trying to straighten you out because it's hard to watch, and I know that older gentlemen tend to have trouble with the technology type stuff, and even your co-host isn't the youngest guy, so I was just curious.
Oh, thanks, Terry.
Terry, you know
That's
what?
just a fact. I mean, I'm
Terry,
not trying to be rude.
I have a little message for you. Kiss me ours. Let's move on.
Bye-bye,
Let's
Terry.
move on. These smart asses. I've had it with smart asses. Every time I say I'm confident in Canadian public, we get a jerk like Terry. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate his concern. Anyway, I'm not hearing from anybody else saying that there's
latency. He's trying to be a smart ass. The old guy. If I hear that phrase anymore, I'm gonna. You know what? Go ahead, John. You've got some other comments here.
I don't know.
Why? Can I ask you a question? Why the hell do I do this? Why bother? Does anybody care anymore? I don't know. Anybody care about the country anymore?
You do this because I've convinced you the technology is flawless, and Terry had to go and ruin that for me. All right, here we go. Jim says, I'm in Florida watching and no lag time for me. Thank you, Jim. And a couple of piss off Terry comments. And what a cloud. There you go. Stream is fine, says Chris. All right. Whoever goes shoulder to shoulder with Trudeau, let me warn you, watch your back. And they follow up with Terry, get a life. All right, 613-413-2217. Sorry, Terry. Maybe the police should give up their paid suspension to give themselves more work to protect the public, says Barry. Ann says, it's like we don't matter. Darlene on Facebook, definitely all of the above. We are just stuck in a rotten place and no way out. That was to your question of Are you frustrated? Are you confused? Are you upset? Are you angry? Kathy says, I'm tired. We have nothing to look forward to anymore. James in Canada, who's also a techie and not experiencing any lag, he says, every time we step forward, we take 2 steps back. It's hard to look forward too much of anything anymore. Joshua says, we've become too obsessed with the party line or platforms. Sometimes right is right and wrong is wrong.
Well, I just come back. I don't know if everybody really understands what's behind most of this, and that is this fear that the planet is burning up. The race for green energy. That's what's causing almost all of it. This is what's happening in Europe. That's why we still have to buy oil and gas from Russia. That's why Biden is begging Iran, believe it or not, and Saudi Arabia for more oil. That's why we can't in this country. We can't even supply our own country. That's why we're spending $500,000 or thereabouts for battery-powered lawnmowers in the city. Tens of millions of dollars for electric buses. It's got nothing to do what's practical. It's got nothing to do with improving your life. And that's what's important. This got nothing to do with improving healthcare or education. No, this is in the battle supposedly to give us green energy, to supplant fossil fuels, oil and gas, propane, with wind and solar. That's what this is almost all about. Billions and billions and billions being poured down the drain for this, and it's causing it's one of the reasons why Ukraine is being reduced to dust right now. If we didn't have to buy all the oil and gas from Russia, we could shut it off. We could essentially bankrupt that country tomorrow. They wouldn't have the money to pay for the bombs. It's ideology. If you really examine it, I mean, for example, the drive now for electric vehicles, and yet there's more and more research that indicates that in fact electric vehicles probably are worse overall for the environment than burning gasoline. Go ahead, John.
No lag in Gander, Newfoundland. No lag in Cardinal, Ontario. Let me see. No lag here, says Fran. Watching in Cardinal. Everything's fine. Lowell, apparently you look nice and young. Okay, there's some of the comments. Let's get back to the actual comments about the actual show, Lowell. But first, let's get a word in here for Shields, shall we? Because we're 22 minutes in.
Well, when I say I haven't given up hope. We still have some good people here, Terry aside. And among the good people that I'm talking about are the people at Shields. These are our Valley people, been in business since 1947, same family. Got a huge warehouse up there in Pakenham. You ever been to Pakenham? It's kind of a fun spot. They got a nice golf course there. They've got a really good ski hill. They got a couple of really neat stores there. And they've got the big 5-span feed store where we get all of our pigeon food. But best of all, they've got Shields. And Shields, best of all, has a huge any kind of appliance that you would on. All the major brands. It's in the big warehouse there. Cost of doing business in Pakenham's a little bit lower. Whenever possible, they pass the savings on to you. Said it before, I'll say it again. If you really want to shop local, if you really want to help local business, at the very least, give Shields a chance. Give them a chance. That's all we're asking for. Check them out, shields.ca. John, I am convinced that so-called Terry is your friend from Windsor, who is no. You know what?
You're probably right.
I've had people like this when I was in CFRA. They would try to sneak in, and it's very often they would start out with trying to be very friendly, and then they'd try to really sink you. I've dealt with jerks like this, and you know what? Not just on the air, but we have all dealt with jerks like this in our life. Yep. There are jerks out there where they're not all nice people. Some people are real assholes. There, I've said it.
Yes.
I mean, what? You know what? This is a show where you call a spade a spade. This guy is. Well, go ahead.
It really doesn't bother me, but I know that they're out there. In fact, whatever. We've given Terry way too much attention. All right, let's skip ahead to some of the comments we received sort of halfway through the show, so we're not bouncing too far back. Glenn says, really pissed off that there was little or zero resizing of OC Transpo during the pandemic, and now the stupid council wants the Fed and provincial governments to make up the shortfall. Just brilliant. And says, if this city had any common sense and cared about wasting taxpayers' money, they would have used the current devices, i.e. lawnmowers, etc., till the end of their life cycle and then replace them.
Thank
Now,
you.
that would be the sensible thing to do, says Ann.
Precisely.
Yep. Chrissy says Ontario is putting $91 million towards installing electric vehicle chargers at highway rest stops, carpool parking lots, parks and hockey arenas. This is crazy. Sign of the times.
Let me point out something that if you're thinking of an electric vehicle, that's fine. But if you think that you're going to get free electricity, if you're going to get free fuel for very long, you're sadly mistaken. As you know, billions of dollars are collected in this country through gasoline taxes, and they're going up again on April the 1st. The bulk of that money is supposed to be used to build highways, to repair highways, maintain highways. But if you're using electrical power, very clearly you are not buying gasoline and you're not paying the tax. So somebody has got to pay to repair and build the highways, okay? And if you think that you're going to, if with an electric vehicle, that you're not going to have to pay for the roads upon which you drive, you are sadly mistaken. Very soon, there's going to have to be a very hefty charge on every volt of power that you get. It has to be. There's no other way around it. Somebody's got to pay. If you think that the guy who is riding the bicycle or not riding anything, he's going to pay for your vehicle to ride, these 4-speed highway or 4-lane highways. No, if you use the highways, you're going to have to pay for them. Go ahead, John.
613-413-2217 is the number. Please, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, etc., whatever social media channel, could you share this on your timeline just so people are aware that Lowell is here, whether his signal is lagging or not? Now, Gil is on the phone. Gil swears that he's not calling to pick on my technical prowess. Go ahead. Gil, you're on with Lowell Green. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, thanks, John. Hi, Lowell. I think a lot of this, if you go to look at the World Economic Forum and see what they're doing right now. And of course, Jagmeet is an alumniist, and so is Freeland. And the World Economic Forum, if you go and take a look at their webpage, they're about saving the planet too.
Yeah.
And also redistributing wealth, like the Robin Hood effect kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Lowell and Justin's talking about, we're going to have to readjust taxes to make them more fair. I'm thinking, this sure sounds a lot like one of his favorite places, which is Davos, Switzerland, which he goes to for the Economic Forum. He's not an alumnus, so I don't know why not. But if you go look that up and look at Klaus Schwab, you probably have, then you'll see that we're heading down that road. He's been sort of hinting at it all along.
There's no question that people, are calling it further and further left. But by further and further left, we mean more and more socialist. There is no question that Justin Trudeau and most of his cabinet, they are socialist and want this country to become socialist. That's what this is about. It was Margaret Thatcher, God bless her, who said, global warming is a perfect excuse for socialism. And I think there's no question in my mind that's what this is about. Justin Trudeau is a socialist. He wants a socialist. The bigger the government, the more government programs that are out there, the more socialist you become, the higher the taxes, the more government control of our lives. I couldn't agree with you more.
I don't get it why he's even interested in being prime minister anymore. He's got everything he needs out of life. Leave everybody alone and let some hardworking person that'll do the job properly take it.
No, but you see, we're the great unwashed out here. Some of us even vote conservative, for God's sake. We're in no position to make decisions.
Yeah.
No, he's saving us, sir. He's saving us. He's the great savior.
Thanks. Well, now you've straightened me out. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, John.
Let's go to email. Lowell at blasttheradio.com. Hi, Lowell. I think this Liberal NDP coalition proves once again one thing. Justin Trudeau cannot handle having any criticism for his decisions. He shuts down conversation, not open up conversation, pardon me. He lashes out at any criticism and is not capable of defending his own decisions except with memorized statements. He should do us all a favor and go back to being an aggressive children's motivational speaker with the We charity, and then he can pontificate as much as he wants and live in a world of one-way conversation.
John, the cappuccino-sucking, Birkenstock-clad, bicycle-riding, goateed socialists are taking over.
I'm amazed, Lowell, that it's taken you this long, 280 some odd shows before you finally dropped those words.
I forgot
into the
one
show.
explicit. I forgot one. The CBC watching. Go ahead.
That's true. Craig says, as gas prices close in on $2 a liter in 8 days, the carbon tax is going up 25%. How beneficial will that new tax money help the environment? James says, I remember when the new beer store on Eagleson Road had 2 electric chargers. Who spends more than 5 minutes in a beer store? The chargers were eventually removed.
Hi, John. We're right out of time here.
Yes, we are, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you, everybody, except Terry.
Whatever, Terry.
Poor fellow. You know, he's living in his mother's basement. They finally got his name off the sexual pervert list anyway, so he's fine. Thank you all, folks. We'll be back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.